Welcome back to this week's episode of the MVP Real Estate Podcast. We have Alon Orbach here from Southern Florida, originally from Israel, moved to the States 17 years ago, started as a volleyball career, found himself in real estate. A very cool niche market of real estate, which is luxury short-term rentals, primarily southeastern part of the U.S. Hubbed right now in Florida, but talks about in the show where they're moving into different markets. They're looking at Texas, a couple other places. Very fascinating niche. I mean, it's super cool, and I talk about in the show where my nerves are and my stressors of investing long distance. To him, cool as a cucumber. Like it's another day in the office. So it's super cool to see where my fears are at and where his are at. And I mean, both are doing well within real estate. So it's super cool to see different philosophies kind of come together here. So I'll let him tell the story. So let's bring him on. And thanks for being here, Alon. Thanks for giving us the time here on a Friday.
Of course. Thank you for having me and excited about this conversation and the fact that it's Friday.
Yes, that is always a benefit. I'm excited to learn a little bit more about the vacation rental market in Florida. See, me and Dan are here in Wisconsin. Our temperatures are dropping. I think the past week we've been in maybe the 60s. We're falling to like below 50s at night.
Oh, wow.
And I'm
That's great.
imagining you're in a completely different climate at this point.
So I don't know if you guys are aware, there was a storm alert the last couple of days. Schools were canceled. And that's kind of like Florida life. Like they cancel school and usually nothing happened. We actually have properties in Tampa area, and Tampa did get a lot of heavy rain and some floods. So in Tampa, we do have right now at least one house that I know that got flooded, that we're
Oh,
taking care of it. I don't know yet all the properties, but the weather is great where I'm at. But that's
yeah,
Florida. You can drive like 4 hours and it's a storm.
yeah. No, I heard about that whole thing. And it's me and Dan actually worked at a previous company and we had some reps in Florida. And I don't remember what
Mm.
hurricane it was, what year it was. But yeah, all the reps had to stay inside and everybody was boarded up because it was going right through Florida. 4 or 5 years ago, maybe?
Yeah. Okay, so 4 or 5 years ago, there was a storm that, every time they talk about a storm, so you go to like grocery stores, all the water is, the flashlights, everybody buy everything they can get a hold of,
Yeah.
and then usually nothing happened, and then you're like a little bit, oh man, I was like waiting for it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Every time it happens, I'm saying like, oh, there's probably gonna be a real estate opportunity now.
quick question
Well,
with
that's a
that.
good way to look at it.
When you
Yeah.
have when you have a property like that, like you said in Tampa,
Mhm.
do you I know some insurers will not cover houses there anymore. So do you have homeowners insurance that will cover flooding like that?
So the quick answer is yes,
Okay.
but it's actually a good question because the insurance in the last year and a half drastically increased to a point that it's insane. So if
Yeah.
people buy cash, sometimes they don't insure the wind. You can still insure the flooding. Flood is insurance is relatively cheap,
Okay.
but it did change. Like it's harder to find companies and it's harder to get insured. But I can tell you, it's in Florida. You have to, like, when you're in a flood zone, it's a lifesaver. I mean, it's definitely a must to do, and we have it in every property.
Wow. I would have thought flood insurance would be way more expensive down there, seeing as it's probably one of the bigger items that insurance companies deals with down
So
there.
surprisingly, it's the wind. The wind in some of our properties can be 20, $30,000 a year, just wind.
Wow.
And the flood can be like 1,500. So you can imagine how like cheaper it
Wow.
is.
So I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
I think the thing that I think we lose sight of is most of the properties up here have basements. So and most of them are refinished. A lot of them is where you house like your washer, dryer, basically an extra rec room or living room in the
Right.
basement. So when we think of like costs associated with flooding, we primarily think it's going to be within our basement and it's going to be 20, 30, $40,000 if on the low end. But most of the properties in Florida don't have basements, correct?
You know, in all my history of real estate, I've seen one house with a basement, and to me, it was like, I can't believe it.
That's
It was
wild.
such an odd thing
Yeah.
to see. And so it happened once. It was actually a really nice house, but yeah, you don't have basements here.
Okay.
But you know, something interesting. I literally just talked about it yesterday because of the storm. There was a house in Tampa that we closed the contract on. That was like a year, probably 2 years ago, and we locked the contract. There was no storm, no nothing. And after we locked it, we brought the whole team from South Florida all the way to Tampa to examine. You know, we do like a very in-depth inspection. And apparently there was a heavy rain the day prior, not like a storm, but heavy rain. And the whole lot was completely flooded. And they had a garage that was a little bit lower compared to the main house. And the garage was completely flooded. And to me, I thank God that if we would have come any other day and it's not raining, we will never know and buy the property. So
Yeah.
we canceled it. You know, we brought a whole team from here. I mean, we spent a lot of money just from like bringing the whole team and everything. It was, and we found out, like, I was like, thank God, but it was insane to think that we can buy a house. You don't know what's going on. And, you know, and I had another situation. I mean, we're jumping from vacation rental, but talking about like flooding. We have a house in East Hollywood, you know, in Florida. And I tried to sell this house for quite some time because the real estate market did slow down. And I was finally under contract. They already did the inspection. We already like passed the inspection. They wanted to close. And a day before the due diligence ended, there was a big flood. So their agent, they already went back to New York, the buyers, the potential buyers. So their agent was like, hey, is everything okay in the house? The house got completely flooded. So I was like, I don't even know how to respond, like, because I need to understand the damages, you know. And then they actually signed an agreement that we will fix the whole house and they're going to move forward with the purchase. But 4 days after, they changed their mind because they were overwhelmed with like the flooding and everything, and they canceled the contract. And again, if that was like a week prior or 2 weeks prior, it will never happen when we had a closed sale. You know,
Yeah.
it's not like you're hiding information, but it's like it's a part of living in Florida. You know, you don't know what's going to happen when there is a heavy rain.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
that's unique to Florida.
Right.
Yeah, that is definitely unique. Like Dan was saying, all the houses here usually have basements. Um, I've walked into maybe a handful of houses that don't. And we own one rental unit that doesn't. And even that's like a little odd.
Yeah.
So there's big differences in terms of structure of homes and how it all works from state to state, even county to county sometimes. But that is one glaring difference from the Midwest to Florida. But it makes sense with your climate, what you got going on. But
Yeah, for sure.
so we gave now just a brief sneak peek into what you're doing, but just to confirm it for our audience, can you let them know on like a simple level what it is you do down in South Florida, and then we'll open up some boxes from there.
Awesome.
That
Yeah.
works.
So right now, our company focus solely on vacation rental investments throughout Florida. We have about $150 million portfolio. So we have hotels, single families, we have some condos, and that's pretty much what we've been doing in the last 7 years, give or take. It changed, you know, because Airbnb became more known as a business about 7 years ago. It started like maybe a little bit prior to it. And that's really what we're doing in the last few years.
Nice. And do you use Airbnb as a
Host site.
medium? I guess.
So
Yeah.
Airbnb is giving us probably 70% of all the business.
Okay.
And the other 30% will be like VRBO, booking.com. We're probably on like 7 different channels. And then we also have our own booking site. So for like the repeating clients, we have a lot of people in Florida that have like families coming, so they know us, so they contact us. We give them our booking site. But Airbnb, definitely is a big chunk of the market.
Yeah. Yeah. In that website that you use for like if they're going to book directly with you is the
Yes.
designvr.com.
Yeah.
Awesome. We'll also put that in the show notes so people can take a look at that and take a look at some of the vacation
Awesome.
homes that you got offered on there. Was taking a look at some of them. Some of them are like luxury,
Yeah,
luxury
I
properties, which is
actually,
kind of
so I do
cool.
want to talk about it, how we got into the more luxury properties, because it was definitely a process. It's not like the first property we bought. Well, actually, the first property was a very luxury house, but that was how we started. That was like a mistake, let's call it. It's a house that we tried to
A good
sell.
mistake.
Yeah, it was a beautiful house on the water in Miami that we wanted to sell, and we said, okay, until we're gonna sell it, let's rent it, and it rented very well. So that's how
Yeah.
kind of like everything started. But when we started, we bought a lot of single families in East Hollywood. Mostly, it was a really good location for the price, and we noticed that most of the properties were between, let's say, 400,000 to 650. Then it went up to like 800. And I think the more expensive home we have there was purchased for like 1.5 million. And that was like a, new construction, beautiful, modern home. And the market there became very saturated. Like a lot of other companies start coming also to East Hollywood. And also people who bought properties and brought us to manage, they just saw the money and they start buying more and more and more. And at the end, when they had a lot of properties, they decided to also be a separate company. So there were like a lot of people in the same area doing pretty much the same thing. And we are always trying to be a step ahead, and we saw where it's heading. So we said, okay, what's the next destination? And then we took a risk in a way. We always do like calculated risks, meaning we're going to buy a property that might not necessarily work for the first house, but we're going to buy it in a very good price. The worst case, we're going to resell it. We bought in Plantation, which to people who don't know, Plantation is kind of like Suburbs. It's not a touristic area. It's maybe 40 minutes from the beach. Not like, I mean, you have like a casino, maybe like, 20-minute
Yeah.
drive, but you don't really, it's not like people say,
Not a
oh, I want to go
walkable.
to Plantation in Florida for a vacation.
Yeah.
But the suburbs have the potential to buy acre lot properties that are, usually like in a lower price point. And the square foot of the house, the living square foot is between 4,000 to 5,000. And we said that if we're going to build a product that can bring people to that area and they don't want to leave, they will probably do it. Bless you.
Thank you. I tried
So,
going on mute.
so, so what we did there was basically in the acre lot, it's already coming with the pool, always. I mean, there's
Yeah.
always like a pool, but in the acre lots, nobody's really utilizing the space. Like 95% of the homes, it's just grass. Sometimes they put a tennis court, and some they raise horses, but it's not like, it's a small part of the lot. So we said, let's do amenities in the house that people would just want to stay there. And we start adding basketball court, volleyball courts, artificial grass for soccer, and like picnic area. Like we really wanted to give an experience. And that's something that really worked for us. I don't want to say nobody else is doing it. Most likely if somebody else is doing it, they saw us doing it. But still it's not a lot. Like you don't have, because the outdoor costs a lot of money and you also need to know how to really do it.
Yeah.
So we were like, it's really working for us. And then we started only to focus on that, which a big part of it was because the increase in the real estate market brought to a point that you cannot get the 3 4 bedroom homes for a decent price that will make sense return wise. So it's not like we're against it. It's kind of like the market and everything made us do it. So we're very happy with it. I feel that that's really what differentiates us from like other companies.
Yeah.
But at the same time, don't get me wrong. If we can buy a house for $500,000 that will work, we'll probably do it. We have a lot of investors coming to us that have like 600,000, and we're telling them that unfortunately there isn't much they can buy unless they want to do like 4 or 5% return, which usually
Yeah.
they don't. And those homes are bringing more like 9 to 11% return. So that's
Yeah.
definitely our niche right now, and that's what we're expanding. And we're also looking to expand to other states right now and to bring the same model. So right now, let's say we're looking into Texas. I haven't seen a house in and Texas is huge.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a house that has amenities, like real amenities. We inside the house, like movie theater, pool table, football, air hockey, ping pong, outside to have all the other stuff for that I already mentioned. So that's really exciting for us. I really feel that people will want to pay premium to have something like that.
Yeah. And
So
if all right, so you're expanding into Texas and you're finding these places that don't have the amenities you're talking about. Is that something that with what you guys have built and the capabilities you guys have, you'd still purchase that either for you or for an investor and then put the money into putting those movie theaters, pool table room, uh, maybe a pool, like those type of things? Would you invest that into the property, or
Right.
how would
So,
that work with where you guys are at?
so well, first of all, if I will see another area that has a house with amenities that work, that for me will be a much better thing. Like
Oh
it's not
yeah,
like we are looking for areas that don't have it. It's just that they don't. I wish they had, so then I can really see the numbers. Um, the way that we're looking at it is that most likely, if we don't add the amenities, the house will still generate a good return. I'm talking about like the first homes that we're buying, that we're really like nitpicking the best of the best for under market value, stuff like that. So if we're buying those, and in our analysis, even without the courts, the numbers will work. We will still add the courts, and we're thinking that it's definitely going to justify it and it's going to make more money. And then worst case, if it's not, so we're still doing okay return. Because the outside, it's usually without the landscape, it's roughly can be like 2 to 300,000, depends on what you need to do.
yeah,
So if you're adding all that, it should give you roughly $200 to $300 more per night, and that means it's well justified. And so again, for the first house, even if you don't get it, but the numbers will, meaning, let's say without it, you can make 13% return. And let's say we do all that investment, it doesn't work, and it goes down from 13 to 10. It's still worth to try it because there is a higher possibility that it will work.
yeah. And I guess
So
you're
that's
not losing in that scenario. Like your profit got cut a little bit, but
right, right.
not
and
a
I
loss.
just want to clarify, like you're doing you're buying these houses, you're renovating them, you're making them high end with all the amenities, but these are still vacation rentals. Like you're not flipping these.
So we're not flipping,
Okay.
but a big part of the whole plan that we have is that in 5 years we could sell them for an upside.
Yep.
So it's not really a flip. We're adding a lot of value to it.
Yep.
And first of all, to sell a house, one of our thinking is that people are paying for staging. We're buying like high quality furniture, so it's not stage; it's real furniture. When people come, they already have an image of how the house can look like, and we saw it as a big benefit. And we also think that the value that all the courts are adding and how easy it's going to be to resell later. So we do see it as on top of the annual return, how are we going to profit more for sure.
Mm-hmm. So how many of these houses have you put in a volleyball court in?
So I play volleyball, and I'm saying it. I play indoor volleyball, but in those homes we don't have room
You
for
don't play
indoor.
beach volleyball in Florida?
No, I play, but I play professional indoor.
Oh, I
Oh,
got you.
really?
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, I
That's pretty
play. That's
cool.
how I got. That's how I got here to United States. I was supposed to play in New York, actually.
Really? We
Yeah.
missed all of that in the intro, and I'm super sorry. That's very cool.
I saw
Yeah, it's
volleyball as
fine.
an
It's
interest on
just
your profile, and my son is obsessed with volleyball right now. He's 22 years old. He's trying to
oh,
start up
nice.
his own little, not little, but his own like grassroots type of teaching adults that want to get into it, 16 and
Nice.
older, about like getting exposed to volleyball. So he's there. I think he plays 4 or 5 nights a week, and then 2 different days he runs a 3 or 4 hour like, how would you call it, open gym session, but it's all
Oh,
sand
nice.
volleyball right now.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's funny because I took a long break after I stopped playing, and when I got back to playing, I didn't know that there are like still a lot of tournaments and places that I can play. Obviously, I'm 41 now, so I'm not playing like for money, but I'm still playing like competitive. And I play against kids 22
Yeah.
years old. so I see how hard it is, when you're 40 plus and you feel like you're 20 and your knees are
Yeah, some peers
disagreeing
that you
with
feel that
you,
way.
so
Yeah,
I
the
definitely
brain's
see
not
how it
matching
is.
up with the body.
But to go back to the real estate, like I said, listen, we're in Florida, let's put like volleyball courts, and to be honest, I don't really think that 95% of the people that reserve with us actually play volleyball. I don't think they use it. It's more for like the pictures, and it's not cheap to build a beach volleyball court. Is actually pretty expensive when you do it right.
Mhm.
And and after I pushed it to so many properties, the other people in the management, they come to me and like, listen, we need to calm down with the volleyball. It's not worth it.
What about pickleball?
Oh, so we actually it's funny those questions, because now that's what we're doing. Every new property now, pickleball became like such a hot topic that we're actually doing pickleballs. Before the pickleballs, we did tennis courts.
Yeah.
For us, pickleball is amazing because it's a smaller court. It takes less space. It costs less money.
Yep.
We did one property now that we did like a few different courts, and we paint them nicely. So one is pickleball, one is basketball, the third one I just forgot what we put there, but I don't, maybe it was soccer, I forgot, but it looks very nice. But yeah, pickleball for sure. It's insane how big it is here. I don't know in you got in your state how it is, but
It's
definitely.
big, and a
It's
lot of
getting bigger here. Yeah.
the people that play here that I play with are older generation, so they're 60 plus, and they talk about going to Arizona or Florida all the time because they're snowbirds. So they'll leave here over the winter months and they'll look for playing opportunities down there.
It's
And
it's the new golf. It used
it
to be
is.
golf. Now
Yeah.
it's pickleball.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the
That's
way,
That's
funny.
the next thing. You got to put
snow,
a golf course on a property.
what?
You got to put a golf course on a
Yeah,
property.
right.
So we're putting a mini golf.
Oh,
We're
that's
doing.
cool.
Yeah. Like we put synthetic grass. We were thinking about doing like super nice mini golf, meaning like when you go to play in a professional mini golf place, that they do all the, I don't know, they put a clown and you need to.
Yeah.
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 But that's really pricey, so we're not there yet. Like we don't think it's really gonna justify the price.
Yeah.
Question to go back. How much does it cost to put in a pickleball court, if you don't mind sharing, roughly?
Roughly, it's about 25K.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. That is
But
way
we,
more
we
expensive
do
than I thought
everything
it
in
would be.
house right now. I mean, I'm sure that if you're gonna call a company, it's probably gonna cost more.
I got space right here, right next to me on the ground to put a pickleball court in. My dad would love it. I would love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then you
Fun.
put it and you don't play.
No,
That's
I would
usually,
be playing. I would be playing.
yeah.
Dan would play pickleball. That is for sure. The other thing that we're seeing up here, in condos, apartments, I haven't really gone in any Airbnbs and things, but the golf simulators, they're carving out in our basements.
Yeah.
They carve out a little space to put netting, and then that's like the amenity they're putting in. And you'll
But
see it in
you need a
lobbies.
10-foot ceiling for those. So some basements will be
Yeah.
tough unless you have a more luxury style home. Because I know you have
But
to have
those are all the
stairs.
newer buildings that are being built that
Right.
Right. So
allow
here
you to put
too,
those.
in Florida, a lot of the new buildings have the golf simulator. Um, I suggested it as well. It's a process, like we're becoming like really good in setting up one thing that it takes usually like 7 months just to really become really good at that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then to start adding more things. It's pretty much like endless in a way. There's so many things you can add.
Yeah.
I agree, but then when you're thinking about like vacation rental side, you put a simulator, people abuse your stuff.
Oh
You
yeah.
have to put like commercial stuff. You don't really watch them all the time to really know, what they're doing with the club. I don't know. They're gonna
You're right. Right. Right.
they're
Right.
gonna
Yep.
damage it in a way.
Absolutely. I get that. And I guess a little bit of it is trial and error, like
Yeah,
what you
yeah,
put
for
in and,
sure.
and how they break it or how they mess it up. And you're like, all right, next time we build it, we're gonna have to secure this because of obviously that happens.
Yeah, even the type of furniture, I mean, we're trying to buy really high quality furniture that people will buy to their own home. It's not like, and we can talk about it too. It's a whole subject that a lot of people that thinking that Airbnb is going to be like such an easy side hustle, and they try to save money. They buy like furniture in IKEA or and stuff like that, and they have no clue what's really going to happen in a few months. And it's not just to break. It's if you don't have the experience after it break, how do you deal with like Airbnb for returns if you have a check out and check in the same day? So they check out at 11 a.m. The next check in is at 4. You just found out at like 12 that something broke. You need to replace it ASAP.
Yeah, you got three
Which is
hours.
what?
You got like 3 hours to fix
Yeah,
it.
you have like 3 hours. So what do you do? And maybe you say, I'm not going to replace it. So trust me, people now in Airbnb, the guests, they feel that it doesn't matter if they pay 100 a night or 2,000 a night, they want 5-star experience, and they're going to complain about, we have homes that is like 5,000 square foot homes, and they're going to find like one bug in the whole house, and they're gonna say, "Oh, there are bugs." I'm like, I mean, it makes sense. It's Florida, 5,000 square foot. There might be a bug coming in from an acre lot, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So
We
a
deal
lot
with
to
that
deal
here
with.
too. Like on the long-term leases, like people see one thing and they're like, it's everywhere. And you're like,
Yeah,
yeah, you live in a woodsy area. Like that's where bugs live. And the house is
right.
not completely sealed.
Yeah. At least
Like
we don't
it's
have
inevitable.
alligators yet. That's
Yeah, I'm glad we don't have those. And
No.
I'm hoping that you've never had a call of an alligator being in one of your rentals.
no, no. But you know what I saw on YouTube once? I had a house that it was by a lake, and a lot of ducks came from the lake to the pool, and they
Yep.
pooped all over the area there, the deck. And we were really like, we tried so many things, nothing worked. And I saw on YouTube, if you buy like an alligator, what do you call it, a
Coyote.
floating, like a floater in the pool that looks like an alligator.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you put it in the pool and they stop jumping in.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
So we tried that. That's as close as I got to an alligator.
They make them now that are like RC cars or RC boats. You can just drive them around.
Right.
That's the next level thing there.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
actually, that's something I wanted to do as well. I was very close when the market started shifting. I was under contract on a house that was 2 acres, and like almost an acre of it was a huge lake, private. And the owners that sold it, they had jet skis and stuff like that, and it's private. It's amazing. So I wanted to do something like that, like when you put like a really nice, kind of like a boat, but it looks like either a car or something like that. But the market changed, and then the rates were so high, so it was too much for that specific deal. So we actually got out of it.
Yeah, that
And with
happens.
that, I
That
mean,
was
if you have a jet ski on a property like that, or those, you're going to have a higher liability or insurance coverage, right?
Yeah, no, we wouldn't put a jet ski.
Oh,
I'm just saying the previous one. For us, we will put like kayaking and
okay.
stuff like that.
Like
Yeah,
paddle
yeah,
boards or stand-up paddle
no
boards and stuff. Yeah.
motors.
Yeah, no.
yeah. No motor, which is also, like one house we bought. They had it was an acre lot, but it was very long. Like, it was kind of like the one side was super long, and they had a beautiful zip line from one side to the other. Like they built like a tree house, and then they had the zip line. And when I first saw it, I'm like, oh, that's amazing. And everybody told me, no, that's a liability.
Mhm.
So we have to get rid of it. So that it's like, that's a sad stuff. In like sometimes you want to do super nice stuff, but liability wise, it's like you're thinking about every little thing right now.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you think about like the caution coffee hot, and like even if you like warn people and have them sign waivers, they're still gonna hurt themselves on something.
Right.
And unfortunately, it's on
And
at
when
your
you're on
property.
vacation, people think vacation equals alcohol and drinking and whatever other type of partying they're trying to do. So people get crazy or stupid sometimes when they.
It's also like, it doesn't matter, like you guys are saying, how much careful you are at the end. It's your house, and reviews is literally like number one thing that you have to be above, like 4.85. And
Yeah.
it's so easy to fall very quickly between the cracks, like if you're not on top of your reviews. So if people want to, complain about something, it's going to show right away. So for sure, we're trying to limit as much as possible, like all the bad stuff that can happen,
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. You alluded to something early, and I wanted to get into it because before the show, you talked about the progression of your career used to be in more of the management in terms of building, and now you're now focusing more on the acquisition side of it. Can you walk us through um, kind of what is your process to find properties, or do you look at how many investors you have in and what they're looking for to go target properties? Like what is your mindset when you're sitting there looking, all right, we got to pick up another property. Where do you go from there? And then we'll go into like how do you structure deals
Right.
if that
Okay,
works for you.
perfect. Good question. Yeah. So when I first started with the acquisition side, it was more like, okay, there is a current investor. He wants to buy a house for a specific price. What can I find? That changed with time because we almost always have investors in line. And we know that if there is a good deal, we'll be able to close it. So the way that we're doing it now, in order to be more efficient, so we're identifying the properties, which I'll get into, and then we're gonna start the negotiation process, lock the deal. Only once we're locking the deal, we're gonna give it to the first in line that we have in mind, that will fit him or the group that we have in mind. And if they say no, we usually go to the next in line. We haven't had yet that if a house was good, we had to let go of it. Um, there were times that we closed contracts, and then we checked a few things, and then we had to back out during the due diligence period. But especially nowadays, where with the current market in Florida, where it's still like very high pricing, for the homes, it's we're really nitpicking. Like a lot of properties, the negotiations are way more lengthy. It takes sometimes 3 months to negotiate just to close a contract. And almost always, and I'm saying it like in a way like that, it's unfortunately every time we're doing inspections, we have to renegotiate the price. So think about like 3 months, we're negotiating a deal that we're bringing them to the most bottom price possible, and then after inspection period we have to lower more. We're not the type of company just to try to squeeze people as much as possible. It's more because that two things: we have to lower the numbers in a way that it will fit our pro forma, that we can make the 9-10% return. So a lot of nice homes just overpriced, not necessarily overpriced, even if it's like market price, they're just not going to work for us, but they're still beautiful homes. So we will try to get them for a lower price. And then the second thing is that we're buying very unique homes that it's so hard to find comparables in the same area sometimes. So the price might make sense, but then if we're buying with a loan, you bring in an appraiser, and it's really hard for it to find comps, and sometimes it's not in the price of the contract. Now, when we're closing the deal, we're assuming that unless they're already given like information about, let's say, the age of the roof or stuff like that, if we're assuming that everything is good and we find out, and that's something we learn with time, that there is almost always issues with leaking in the pool leaks. It's amazing how many leaks in the pool. And then most of the properties here, which I don't know if it's in your area the same, but it's like septic tanks.
There's still some up here. Yeah.
So homes that are like 30-year-old, 40-year-old, the septic always have issues, back in the days, there were cast iron plumbing. Now it's like PVC, but if it's cast iron, always issues. So it's that when you're closing the contract, you're assuming, okay, everything is more like, let's say, cosmetic, but then you find out like so many things that you have to lower the price. So it's very like draining, like emotionally draining. You already invested, just for inspection, we're paying like $2,000 just for the inspection part, because we're doing so many.
Are you doing multiple inspectors, like a home inspector, a pool inspector, a septic?
We're doing a sewer camera. We're doing regular inspection, roof inspection, pool leak detection, which is a separate company. Septic, they actually open the septic. So yeah, each company is like.
Do you guys down in Florida have a bug termite inspector?
Yes.
Because I heard from a friend that we got some cockroach problem down in Florida.
Not really roaches, but definitely there are termite for sure. I mean, it's not really bugs, but termites, yes. We do have
termites are everywhere. Like, that comment was not to scare any of the listeners. There's bugs everywhere. It's not just Florida.
Why would you even ask?
But no, like up here, it's now being added into offers to purchase with that specific like termite inspector. The normal building inspectors or home inspectors will not touch those things. Just like chimneys are their own separate inspector.
Oh, chimney is another annoying thing. There's always a problem with the chimney. If like there is a fireplace, I'm like, no.
I know.
So regarding the termites, I think because maybe it's more like Florida is so big into it that most of the inspectors, even if you don't pay them for a specific termite inspection, they're looking for it and they will tell you if they see something. So usually the way that we do it, and so far we saw that it's money-wise, it is the most like efficient way, is that we're not really paying for a termite inspection, but the regular inspector is checking for it. And if he sees it, then we bring a termite inspection. It's an issue. I mean, molds can be an issue as well, that we're trying to really be careful. Some people try to hide it. I unfortunately had to move from my previous house. Well, my wife decided we're going to move due to mold. And I try to fight it as someone who has experience with like construction and everything. We ripped up the walls, everything. It did not go away. So we're really being careful as much as we can. There's only so much you can do. But that's why in Florida, the new construction, it's concrete. Nobody built from wood here anymore. But the old homes, they will have those issues. I mean, can have those issues.
So they're doing exterior walls as concrete now too?
Yes, yes.
Okay. That would make sense. It'd probably hold up a little bit better with the storms coming through.
Yeah, so to you're connecting it now with the insurance costs, if you're buying a house that was built like with the concrete, I don't really see a reason why to pay 20, $30,000 a year for wind, where first of all the house been there for like at least 20 years, some of
Right.
them 40 years. They never flew away. you know
Yeah. They're
like
not
so
flying
so I'm
away.
like where am I gonna get my money back? So you're saying maybe something happened, the roof stuff. I mean, roof will cost you like 30,000, let's say. So if you're saving on the wind and something happened, so just buy a roof. Kind of like how we look at it. But again, it's only if we're buying cash. If we're buying like as an investment, company that like a few people are into the deal, more like a fund or syndication. So we usually gonna do it just because we want to protect everybody, and not take risk. But if it's a private buyer, sometimes they say, let's not do the wind.
Yeah, they can waive that because if at the end of the at the end of the day, end of the year, you're still putting in less money by just buying the new roof than paying the premium every month for your wind
Right.
insurance. Why
And
would you
again, it's
not?
not going to happen every year. I mean, even if it happened the first year, let's say,
Yeah,
which sucks, and you buy a new roof, you're going to have, first of all, a new roof. So it's going to add value to the house. But still, you're going to probably for at least 5 years, not going to have another storm that, fly your roof. It's more going to be maybe like a tree that is falling on it or something. So if it's a newer roof, you're not going to need to replace the whole roof. Like,
So
yeah,
what I'm hearing is if you were a smart business person, you would create a roofing company and move down to Florida.
first of all, roofers here are making a killing.
That's what I'm saying.
yeah,
Yeah.
During storms, the roofers are making absolutely a killing. By the way, in Texas last storm, a lot of people from Florida went to Texas to close roof deals. They made a fortune. Also, I will say more than a roofing company, become a public adjuster. Public adjusters are making a lot of money during storms. Um, and by the way, from storms, if you're asking me from investor point of view, I love storms. We're making a lot of money when there are storms. Every time a house is flooded, we're making probably like we're repairing the whole house, we're making it newer, and we're still getting like probably $20,000-$30,000 on top of it to keep in the pocket. We have a one house that is in a flood zone that already got damaged 3 times, and the investor is the happiest person. He's like, every time, oh, that's gonna cover for all the losses that I was doing.
Right.
yeah.
Wow.
So some people are happy with that.
Hmm.
Interesting.
I managed like you mentioned the storm like 5 years ago. So I 5 years ago I managed a 50 unit building that got damaged in that storm. And it was, for me, it was my first experience as like a whole building that got damaged where it's like fully occupied. It was a nightmare. But the owners, they made to their pocket around $2 million just from that, from like the supposedly damages. But
Yeah,
they, on top, like their upside was like 2 million to their pocket. So as much as it was a headache, I mean, they got more renovated building, and they got money in their pocket. So in Florida, we're okay with it if you're protected. I mean,
yeah. That's the big thing. Yeah, I've
yeah,
heard of like roofing and siding companies mobilizing. Like their main niche area is, I don't know, South Carolina. I don't know, somewhere close. But
right.
they'll actually move, and it's more beneficial for them to house the crew down in Florida after a storm, pick up all those jobs, and then when they, I don't know, they're done with all their contracts, they just go back home. But they'll live in
100%.
Florida for 3 months,
By
4
the way,
months.
I can tell you an easy way for people to make money that you don't need to be a genius. You don't need to have a lot of money before storm. Go, I'm talking about like a month before, not 2 days, because then you're not going to have anything. Go to Home Depot, buy all the plywood, and then go knock on doors and cover their windows. People who don't
Yeah.
have impact windows or don't have accordion shutters, people will pay you good money for it because people are, every time there is somebody that can be scared, people can make money out of it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
And you're
used to
helping them.
cover all our houses every storm, but then we saw that it just doesn't make sense. Like, it's just not worth this. It's a lot of money that we're spending just to cover them. Nowadays a lot of more houses have already impact windows, stuff like that. So it's not the same.
Yeah. Interesting. Um, do you guys see yourself continuing with the same um, model? Because you're talking about going to Texas. Are you going to replicate that same model, or do you guys foresee something with with where the market is right now, what you're finding in Texas? Do you guys feel yourself like pivoting a little bit, or are you going to try to take what you've created and then implement it kind of the same template in Texas or
Yeah.
whatever other areas you go into?
Yeah. So there are a few ways that we're looking into it. Um, Again, we start doing all those stuff because of the market. So if the market in a way will change, we might also put a lot of efforts in different aspects of the market. For example, multifamilies, we would love to buy hotels. Really hard to find those right now, like to make sense. People are selling them at like supposedly 5-6%, which usually it's not really 5-6%. And then there are always issues. And then if you're getting now, let's say a 6% mortgage with the rates that went down, it's like 6%. It's just not making any sense to buy hotels, and nobody is selling hotels for like 8% cap or stuff like that. It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So if that market will kind of like change, because people have been talking about it for the last few years that it will change. So we will be ready. Like we'll buy those as well, and then maybe we can shift our focus because those are bigger projects, that might be more lucrative. But we will never really like stop what we're doing with the amenitized homes. For sure,
Yeah.
that will stay in our model. And we do want to duplicate it into other places because that's what making us unique. That's what we know how to do. However, another thing that we have is, so we have a software. I'm not personally the owner of the software, but we have a software that was at the beginning an in-house software that we were the only one who used it. And then we decided to split it into basically the Design VR will use the software as a side company, meaning we're paying for the software, even though it's the same owner in a way. So the software, it's called Boom. Boom, if you're going to Google like boomnow.com, it's a very big software that right now people all over the world are using for vacation rental segment. It's more for like bigger accounts. And what we are looking from our point of view in Design VR is that we have all of the sudden a lot of information about a lot of investments all over the world. So let's say people are using it in Portugal, Spain, France, Greece, Africa. We have numbers in each place, how much the returns that they're doing, how busy it is, what people are
That's
paying
very
per night.
useful.
And then we can say that our next investment will be in, for example, Greece. I'm not saying it will be Greece, but we all of the sudden have a lot of information that we can utilize. And that's something that for sure will happen in a few years. But I think the more immediate, like what's going to happen soon will be something like Texas, for example. Me personally, I am doing other stuff. Like I am investing right now in a hotel in Zanzibar, Africa, for example. So it's oceanfront hotel. And I am going to expand also there. And once we're going to, for example, bring the software to Zanzibar, so maybe Design VR will invest in Zanzibar. So again, it's more like a private thing, but I'm just showing you how we're looking at things to grow, so the
Yeah.
company will not just go all over for like adventures, but when they see that there are already like existing numbers, so then we're definitely looking to expand. and our clients want diversity. If someone is buying with you, let's say you have like a family office that buy with you like 5 6 properties, then they're like, okay, what's the next destination or other locations? They don't want to just be too much saturated in one area to do the same thing. So we need to give them the answer.
Yeah. Well, you found it with Zanzibar, and I hope I'm not the only one with this question. How did you find the property in Zanzibar? That has to
So
be a wild situation.
yeah, well, I will tell you, but I'll tell you also, the important for us to go to a different country, we have to have an operator that we feel comfortable and trust that we can work together.
The boots on
So
the ground person.
right,
Yeah.
we have to like we're not just gonna start hiring from here if we see a potential in another place. It's not gonna happen. So specifically about there, it's more about a story of my best friend, and it's more like his story is more interesting than mine. I just joined him. So my best friend, he actually went to Zanzibar 7 years ago to propose to his wife, and he fell in love with the place. And we used to work together here in I also lived in California for a bit. So we did some stuff in California, and then I moved. He had a solar company. He sold it. He went back to Israel, and he was like already in his like mid 30s, and he's like, "I'm not married yet." And like he had the crisis, I guess. So very quickly he met like his future wife. He was like, and she's great. So they went to Zanzibar. He fell in love with Zanzibar, and he said, a lot of things are missing here. And then he found a lot that was very cheap in Africa. It's cheap, and he said, "Listen,
You feel comfortable talking about price? Like, what is cheap in Zanzibar, Africa?"
So back then, I mean, 7 years ago, I think he bought it for like 300K. I mean, that was the price of an oceanfront lot.
How many acres?
It was like an acre, not acre.
I
I
know
think
I'm
like two.
asking you off
I
the
think
cuff
like two
here.
acres or something like that.
Okay.
Something around there. Again, I'm not a part of that hotel. Right now, it's a hotel, but so the way his story started is that he said, first of all, he's one of the best salesperson I know. Like he's a really good salesperson, and I'm saying it because he thought that he will put money down for a land, which he put like maybe 30,000, and he was pretty not broke, but 30,000 was pretty much what he had. And he said, I'm going to go back to Israel and I'm going to bring investors and close the land. And it's amazing. And again, he's a really good salesperson. He went back to Israel, and every person he talked to was like, what do you have to do with Zanzibar? Like now you're coming with Zanzibar, like you have first of all, he has zero experience in real estate. So he's like, why will we invest in you just saw the country for the first time. Now you want to do a hotel and stuff. People thought he was crazy. But he didn't give up. And I think that's very inspirational that like it doesn't matter how many times you hear the word no, he didn't give up. And then he ended up finding a person that was very experienced in the hotel industry, that he paid him for consultation for one meeting. And he met him, he gave him the vision that he saw. And the other guy told him, I want to be your partner. So they actually became
Must have been a
partners.
good vision.
Wow.
It was a great vision. He built a 5-star hotel, 86 units. That hotel is #1 on TripAdvisor right now in Zanzibar. He's doing amazing. Since then, he built a few more hotels. And I was one of those people that he came at the very beginning and he said, hey, let's invest. And I said, you, Zanzibar, what, not yet. But I told him, listen, you definitely have the abilities. So once you do have all the experience, then I can set up a lot of, funds that will go toward your way and we can do a lot of stuff. So I actually waited a very long time to have a good opportunity, plus
Yeah.
the experience, plus to show numbers for the last 2 years of returns,
Yeah.
and to me, like, so he's an operator, that I definitely trust. And that's the only reason. Like, even if you give me like, the same opportunity, but he's not there, I wouldn't go there. So it doesn't matter to me. I'm also looking in Guatemala right now, but Guatemala, it's the same thing. I will not go there if I don't have an operator I can trust. So there,
Yeah.
it's probably not going to be my best friend, but for sure someone that we know personally, that can show us track record, because those things you really need to be careful, for sure.
Yeah.
And then there are other companies like like, for example, Hilton, right? They also have a hotel in Zanzibar. I'm sure the Hilton that themselves didn't have like a best friend there. They just saw an opportunity and they brought their team. So
Yeah.
you can do it, but you need someone on ground that represent you, for sure. But
Absolutely.
that's, as a company, how we see, like, to involve.
Yeah. And the boots on the ground, the project manager, property manager, whatever you want to call them, uh, whatever investing you're doing, whether it be short term, long term, flips, the most important piece to that is the person that can get there. Like that needs to be able to step on the lot and figure out what's going on. You're handicapped if you don't have that, and you're
You
very
know,
vulnerable.
I'll give you an example. So there is a guy I've been working with. We did a few flips, and he always had great deals. And one day he came to us and he gave me a deal that it was like 3.5 hours, which is far enough for me not to rarely see it, um, but I saw everything like from far away. I didn't even go there. The numbers worked. So um we end up buying it, and I actually lost a lot of money on that deal. Now, why did I lose the money? Was because, as much as that guy did business with us, that specific business, I mean, that specific like home, we got really screwed up, like screwed. We pay him a lot in advance because we've been working with already in other deals, and he didn't bring the actual right people to do the renovation that was needed. And you know what? I did the analysis, like, so I did check before myself. I didn't trust anybody else. I checked all the numbers. I end up selling it at a big loss, and whoever bought it from me at a loss put the money that I paid him to do the same renovation. Literally, they did exactly what I wanted to do. It wasn't like a high-end thing. It was like a flip. And they sold it for exactly the same price that I put on the analysis, like 3 months after.
Really?
Yeah. So you definitely need someone like 100% that you trust. I mean, Tampa, for example, I go very often to look at properties, and I always stay there for a few days. But at the same time, we have in-house people there. Like, we have a couple project managers that are there, and we have other people in our team that goes there very often. And we have to.
Yeah. No, it's an important piece to the team. You talk about the team that you have in South Florida working with you. When you go across borders or across countries, in that case, with Zanzibar, still need to bring the team. That's still an important piece to it. But
So for
um,
example, if we'll go to Texas, for example, the first few homes, we'll probably use a local management company that we most likely will not really know personally, but we're definitely going to look into them, see their track record. We'll see how many properties they manage. So we're okay with that. I'll be on the line, like flying there often. Um, we are okay with that.
yeah,
Again, I'm sure it's not going to be like, even if you have a great team, when you're doing something yourself, it's different. You go there, you see it in your eyes. It's always different when it's your own thing that you're doing.
yeah,
But yeah, you need to a good team.
yep. And like you said, it's not always your friend, but you do have to make the phone calls. And we've had a couple shows with people that invest out of state, uh, cross country, all that kind of stuff. And vetting a property manager is important. Even if you don't know them, you got to know, like you were saying, how many properties you manage. One is, what do they manage? Are they managing more long-term properties, or are they a property manager for short-term rentals? And do they have the capability, like you mentioned earlier in the show? Checkout is 11 a.m. Something's broken. Next check-in is 4. Can that property manager, when you're in Florida and your house is in Texas, get there in that 3-hour
Yeah,
window?
of course.
Or are they not capable of doing that? Because then your boots in the ground is not really
And I think that the
functional.
people who work for you, they have to be happy, you know. Like for example, Zanzibar, a nice salary for a hotel manager is like 2,500 in Zanzibar, right? Which it sounds like ridiculous, but it's considered like a pretty decent paycheck a month. The guy that we have there, that's his basic, but he's supposed to end up making like 7,000 to 8,000 a month, where everything stabilized, and it's a very very high income for someone like that in Zanzibar. Like it's extremely high. But we are like, if we all make money, you know, you should be very happy, and you're
Mhm.
like the leader in a way. I mean, if you're the property manager for a nice hotel that is bringing great numbers to the investors, you should be happy, you should be compensated. And if not, they, you know, they're probably not going to leave, but it's going to show on the
Yeah, they're also not going to
management, on
try
the
very hard.
people. So for sure, to have people that are good in what they do, but also to keep them happy, because if they're not happy, they're going to look for something else if they're good.
Yeah. I just heard a term, I think it was like passively quitting. Like if they
Passive.
don't feel like they're, yeah, passively quitting, they're not going to quit.
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah,
are you going to get their best effort? No. And
yeah.
that's the line you got to play with. And I mean, anytime you fall below it, you're in trouble of losing your team and your support.
100%. I mean, your team is everything. You know, there's only so much you can do by yourself,
Yeah,
for
no, I
sure.
agree.
What do you guys do there, like from like investments and stuff like that?
We started out with, I mean, any investment we have, it's either going to be in our rental part of it, which is our buy and hold long-term leases. We haven't dabbled into Airbnb or short-term, and it's all very local. So we haven't expanded. Zanzibar seems like a different planet to what our investing is. Uh, and then we have a renovations where we flip homes and they're a quicker transaction. So you kind of dabble with
So
both.
what returns do you see there for right now in today's market for long term?
Returns on like turnkey properties, because
Like long term investments?
I know, are you asking for like what do we cash flow on properties for
Like return wise, yeah. What is your cap rate on like properties that you're buying right now for long term?
cap rate? As of recent, I would say it's closer to 5.
Wow.
Yeah, and they're all single family homes. Like we haven't broken into any multifamily yet, because when we started getting into it, when we started, we wanted to go into rentals, and I'll admit my purchase took our company in a completely different direction. We bought a house, we were just going to do a roof repair to it. We found out that everything was framed incorrectly.
Hmm.
So it turned into either we sell the property, take our 20K loss, I think it was around 20K, and just selling it as a lot and let the next person go in, or we need to get somebody who can build a house. So we end up opening up a construction company. So our I feel bad for our numbers on the rental market because we don't have any really recent from the last, say, 2 years.
Got it.
Everything we've been doing has been pumping the construction company.
So what do you see from flip side, like return over there?
Um,
15, I
I
think
would,
maybe closer to 15 to 20%.
yeah, it was. I was gonna go 15 because I'm conservative with that,
And it's
but
usually like a year or less.
less than a year.
Okay,
Yeah,
it's not bad.
we've had a flip that lasted longer than a year, and that was the one I was referencing, where it was like,
Got it.
man, it went backwards so many times where I didn't even. All right, now we're at our back's against the wall. And then you find out that that wall was not structural, it was just a partition. So you blow through that and you're like, okay, we can't go back any further than this. And then you find your floor system is screwed up. So then you go back even farther. That one start and stop so many times. That project was not a great one.
Yeah, but
But
that's made you who you are today.
you learn a lot from it.
Yeah. But by the way, when you're saying like 5% return, so I used to manage long term hundreds of units. I mean, I started as a property manager. And the returns that we gave to investors after management, everything was about 8%,
Mhm.
like very accurate. Like the average was 8% cap rate, which was great. That was like until 6, 7 years ago and backward. And one of the reasons why I personally wanted to get into the Airbnb was because the same investors that wanted to buy more, I was like, there is nothing. I mean, that's how I made my money. So I'm like, there's nothing I can find anymore because the
Yeah.
returns became like 6%, then it's like
Yep.
5. Um, so yeah, I hear you. Like it's definitely,
Yeah.
it's
When you
tough.
try to run numbers on things, like a 10% is almost non-existent anymore, at least in the single family space.
How is
Very
it
hard
is
to
for
get.
you guys to find like to do flips like for 15% stuff like that? Like is it easy to find a deal and it's more about like
Finding the
cash?
deal.
Yeah,
Finding the deal is the hardest thing,
yeah.
and structuring is difficult now too. We're going we're leaning now the direction of getting less off of traditional financing with interest rates and all the fees that are associated with the holding costs are a little bit higher. We're hoping that if we go with the non-traditional uh, lending, we're going to save some room there.
You mean like hard money lending or?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, there's not a lot of cash is going into the deals. It's all private
Yeah.
or hard
And
money.
what is like an average cost for like a flip? Do you have like an average cost or?
It depends on what kind of property we're in. And the one thing that we're running into because prices are so high, holding costs are so high, your your window of opportunity to improve the property is going to go down because most of your capitals, not most,
Yeah.
majority of your capital is just going to go into purchase and holding. And if we were 4 years ago with interest rates that were unbelievably low, like you have a wider window to hit more areas and get your property to the next level. The last couple that we've done, minus, we bought the oldest home in this community, and we obviously no walls were parallel, nothing was running how it should.
How old was it?
Oh, and I think that was not 19.
25, 28.
I was gonna put 20.
That's so like
19.
100 years old.
Yeah, it was an old home.
Yeah.
It had the original carpet in it. Like
Wow.
that's it was some like gross carpet in the bathroom. It was weird. In the it was weird. The bathroom took up half of the floor plan on the second story. So the bedrooms were super small, but the
Oh.
bathroom was like bigger than both bedrooms. It was super weird. So we moved that around a little bit. But in order to do what we really wanted to do to make the house operable and like actually function, you put more cost in than what you'd really want to do to get your
Yeah.
return. And then it was the teeter totter of like, all right, do we make
Yeah.
this good or do we make our profit higher? And that was like one of those things where
Do you buy those homes like from a wholesaler or like
we bought them all off market.
off market?
Mm.
Yeah. I mean that's for me something I notice here because I'm personally will still love to do good flips, right? And I know wholesalers, I know like people send me like off market stuff, but then it's always like, if everything goes perfect, it's like 15%. But
Yeah.
then you're like, well, if things go south, then you're like 8%. And then for the 8% to waste so much time. Plus the market here, how long in average it takes you to sell a house from what the day it hits the market?
The last thing I read was like 45 days is
Okay,
the
it's
average.
not bad. Like I
Right.
have here homes that now specifically, maybe because of elections or maybe because people are waiting, with the for the interest to go down. I don't get a lot of calls. For people that want to buy for the like as an end user, I'm not talking about like investors, because investors, you're always gonna have investors.
Yeah.
So it's really hard. So when I'm thinking about like a potential flip, let's say I'm saying, okay, 12%, which is okay if it's 6 months, but then all of the sudden you can get stuck with it for like 6 months on the market, just standing. Um, so I'm being super cautious about like flips right now here.
Yeah. And we are as well because it's tough. Like you run the numbers that you find off market and uh they're either posted on forums on the internet or Facebook
Yeah.
Marketplace and you run your numbers on those and man the margins are so tight.
And
And
then
I
here
think with
you're always gonna hear like the Latinos, the GC that like did construction like Cuba or something. They come to you, I can do with no permits. Don't worry, half the price, and you
yeah,
always get caught. You always get screwed. It's almost like double the price at the end.
I know, I don't know. And I don't know if with it being such a seller's market, I guess on this point, everything is going retail pricing. So it's hard to find
Yeah,
those discounted distressed
discounted. Yeah,
properties. And that's what we've done in the past is getting all these distressed, old, outdated,
yeah,
like really a lot of deferred maintenance properties. But now more and more of those are like, all right, we'll buy it retail. And it's like, oh well,
right.
that was our
Plus
business
for
model.
flips, I
So
mean,
it's
you
just a
have to
little
pay.
transition.
You pay 50% taxes. If you're doing the flip less than a year, people don't really think about it right away, unless you do some sort of like 1031 or something. But it's also something that people are saying, oh, I'm going to make 12%. I'm like, but you're paying like half, for taxes, unless you're holding it more than like a year at least. But I don't know. People don't really have like the whole analysis usually.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
And it takes a while to get that. And
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
for sure.
I just hope that people, if they get excited into this, do love that side of it because that's where things get a little fishy, the details in those.
Yeah. You need to enjoy what you do. That's first of all.
Oh,
and
definitely.
then,
And it
and then
sounds
to
like
know
you
what,
do, which is very cool. I think you're only one of maybe we've had two or three guests, you including one of them, that does short-term vacation rentals. And it's always been a little niche of real estate that I've been interested in. But for me, and I don't know why, the risk is so much higher because it could sit vacant. And that to me is like, obviously, you have overcome that, and you obviously know that that is a false worry
right.
because it sounds like everything is getting pretty active on your spots.
But
But
if
that little question of like, is it going to get rented this weekend? And
well,
if it,
you always have fear, right, for new adventures. I mean, it's always a fear. Even for me, if I'll go to Zanzibar, it doesn't matter how long I've seen everything. There is a fear, because you put a lot of your own money into it. Um, I mean, you have softwares like AirDNA that work,
yeah,
through Airbnb, and they give you pretty good numbers about occupancy in some areas and stuff like that. Um, if you're doing it yourself for the first time, and that, by the way, that's something that I've noticed that I'm trying to educate people about, not just like it's good to jump in the water, but a lot of people like they jump into the water thinking something is so easy when they don't know the full scope. So I'm not saying to be scared of doing stuff, but the problem is most people don't do the correct homework for new stuff. I have a few homes that are I posted for rent, and every house I have for rent, I know exact numbers of what it will do in Airbnb. And I get so many calls from people that said, "Oh, can I rent it? I'll pay you a few months in advance. Can I do sublease to it for Airbnb?" Or
Yeah.
and now they start like giving you stories like, "Oh, I'm gonna live in the whole house, but can I rent one room for Airbnb?" I'm like, "Look, I don't care about the stories. You can go ahead and rent for Airbnb, but I'm telling you that you will lose money. Like
Yeah.
I know for a fact that you will lose money. Now, I'm not saying it, if someone will want to pay me for rent, I mean, after he knows the details, I'm like, okay, I
Yeah.
warned you, right? Usually after I warn them, they don't move forward, right? But that's something that a lot of people they see on YouTube, all those videos. I'm not gonna mention names, but there are some people who talk about it, like how good and easy and how much money you can make subleasing a property, and how you can make 1,000 here, 2,000 here. You just get like 5 properties, and boom, you're making like 8 to 10,000 a month. I'm like, no, you're not. You know, First of all, you're buying furniture that minimum, like $30,000, and you buy them for $30,000. It's gonna take you a long time to cover that $30,000, and you have zero homes so far. You don't know really, where to advertise, how to deal with the people, who's gonna be your
Yeah.
cleaning crew. Like people don't know. Now, I'm not saying they cannot make money. I'm saying that they're coming into it without knowing anything. And usually, if it's my friends, want to do it, I'm like, you can do it. But then they keep asking me like 100 questions, and it doesn't go anywhere. Like
Yeah.
they keep asking questions, they don't do it. And I tell those people, you know what? And it doesn't matter if it's us, someone else. If you really want to start and you feel like you got a good deal, use a management company that, yes, it will take most of your money, it will take most of your profits, but at least from that management company, if it's your first property, learn all the ropes, like how to do stuff, how do
Yep.
you deal with clients, where do you advertise, how to decide how much to charge per night, like so many questions. Are you licensed? What is your insurance? Like how long is the lease that you sign? What's going to happen if next year the owner will come to you and he say, okay, cancel the lease? You didn't even cover your expenses for furniture. What's going to happen if you want to sell? Like there are so many points where you can lose money. So use someone who know, make even zero money, but look at it as like
Learning experience.
education, right? Like a
Yeah.
learning curve, educational. Like think about, like, if someone wants to do something, usually they're gonna go and pay for a class or for a course or something. So instead of doing that, if you want to cut through everything, pay for at least someone that will help you while you already have it, like
Yeah. Learning
because
in the field would be like the most beneficial thing. And we
yeah,
always talk about like if you went to college and or high school and you learn in the classroom or real estate license, like you go in the classroom and you learn. When you get out into the field, like things are different. Like learning from a book and learning the field are
yeah,
different. So why would you not get even if it takes away your cash flow? Let's say you have a property and all your cash flow goes to the property management company. You're still technically making money on appreciation, but you're learning the ropes of what it is to
right,
operate that in the field,
yeah.
which is probably your best learning situation you could give to somebody is learning as it's going.
Look,
And hopefully they make the right questions or ask the right questions and make the right moves.
if you're looking into like most of the successful people in life, not just real estate, most of them have mentors.
Yeah.
Most of the successful people. So why someone who barely have like 20K in his bank account that is willing to risk it in a way because he thinks he's going to make easy money, doesn't wants to do all that, risk all his money, but he's not really paying for a mentor. I'm not saying I'll be a mentor. I'm saying like pick whoever you want. Like, but like pick someone, like
Yeah.
ask for guidance, and don't be shy about it.
Yeah. And the cool thing with real estate, I have never reached out to somebody and asked for help, and they're like, no, thank you. Everybody that is in real estate is willing to have a conversation or give you a little bit
They
of
want to show
advice
off
or
their knowledge.
yeah, or their I mean, I guess or their contact list. Like call this person, he'll be able to help you with
Right,
that.
right.
They're always willing to help.
Yeah.
it's a field that is very different because, um, like I mentioned before, me and Dan worked together, working within that industry. We were fundraising. You're not getting help from other people. Like they will go out of their way to take you down rather than help you. And to come from that and to go into real estate where everybody's like, yeah, here's contacts, here's lists, I can help you with that. Here's my phone number. Breath of fresh air, which is super cool. And that's why I tell people if you want to get in, like get in, people will help you. You won't know it, but
Right.
don't get stuck in
But
analysis
ask
paralysis.
for help. That's,
Yeah,
because people,
absolutely.
I don't know, when someone starts something and he has some experience, they feel like, oh, if it's like a sign of weakness if you ask for help, but it's not, It's better to ask for help and even pay for help and not to lose money, because for people who start that only have like tens of thousands of dollars that they save, their setback is going to be so hard, that it's going to take them a long time to try again.
Yeah,
And that's, I'm happy to, me right now, I'm really surrounding myself with the best of the best that I could get. Again, some people can get maybe
yeah,
better people or stuff. Um, and to know your weakness is also important. Like I know, maybe not all my weaknesses, but some of my weaknesses, I'm aware of them. So I'm like, okay, how can I still be successful in what I do with my weaknesses, and how can I cover for them? And that's not really a sign of weakness, because every person has like down,
yeah,
side that he's not great at. You're talking
yep,
about fundraising. There are probably people better than me in fundraising. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna pitch them the idea that they're gonna want to be on board. They're gonna make a lot of money from that deal, and they will raise the money.
yeah,
So that's perfectly fine.
yep, yep. That's what makes the team go round. I like that.
The only way, if you want to grow, it's the only way.
You have to. Delegation, you have to.
Yeah.
You delegate to where you're weakest or where your interests are not, and you put somebody in with stronger interest there. It does complete the
Yeah,
team.
I can tell you that the partner I have in the brokerage, so his software, right, Boom Now, that I mentioned, he brings incredible people to his board to be a part of the board, and they get some percentage in the company. And those are people that, like, if I start sharing names, it's like really high ranked in the industry with so much experience. It's unbelievable that they're here. So for him, he's like, okay, I'll offer them something and they can take me to the next level. And without those people, he wouldn't be where he's at now.
Yeah,
And it's 100% the way I see it. And again, everybody should profit. I mean, we live once, like,
yeah,
make it comfortable for everybody.
yep, absolutely. I like it. That is a very interesting story, a very cool career that you're into. Um, I know we went over our hour, and I want to let you go on here on a Friday here, but
Yeah.
I want to see how this move into Texas goes. I've always been fascinated with the Texas real estate. Um, I'm excited to hear what happens with that one. So
I can give you a quick example just how I'm looking at it right now. So, I've been to Texas, but I'm not like the most familiar with whole Texas. So I start looking online, like what are the best locations for Airbnb. And then you see a lot of, articles and stuff like that. And then from those articles, I put a list of, like, let's say 10 different areas in Texas. Each area I go into, and I'm starting to look in, like, okay, how many Airbnb units they have, what is the average occupancy price, and then I'm looking whether they have even acre lot properties there in that area, because it might be like more like, like a family area that is like smaller lots
subdivision
or
kind of
stuff
thing.
like that. So, like, that's how from that I made it into like 3 areas that I find that are good. And then I'm looking like, okay, how much a property costs in this area, that area. That, like that's like kind of like how I'm getting into the best locations. Then I'm finding like companies in that area that already manage properties, starting communication with them to see what they think about the numbers and everything. It's a process, and then to know all the, of course, the regulations, which is super important. You don't want to be canceled a month after you start. So I think everything realistically, probably in like 2 months, we'll have more like knowledge about like, okay, let's book a flight and start looking into properties. And then very quickly, I mean, because we have the funds to start, so it's like we're pretty much, I think, but to get to even the point today, why Texas, and that it takes like a year,
Yeah. No, I mean that's a big plan for you guys, but it looks like you went through your due diligence. So it sounds like maybe summer of 25, you'll have some action going on
Yeah,
in
we'll do
Texas.
another podcast in summer of 25.
Summer of 25, well, at least have one down there if you're looking to buy within the next two, so you're hopefully isolating something by January, barring nothing goes weird with the economy. We always got to put that little
Yeah,
asterisk in there.
25, beginning of 25 makes sense. And by the way, we have to, like, I noticed that if a company, it doesn't matter what you do, if you don't think a step ahead, I mean, we could still buy properties in Florida. We're still buying properties in Florida.
Yeah.
We just closed on like 4 properties in the last month and a half. But it's like we always want to be prepared. What if this happened, or what if that happened? Like where to go next? And if we're not gonna always think like what's next, then we're not gonna be a successful company. Like that's the way I see it.
Yeah. Always looking for progress.
Always, yeah. Or you're
Yeah.
gonna drown.
Yeah.
A
Not
lot of
hopefully not
sharks
in a
out
flood. Start the show with flood and you end the show with flood.
there.
No, that's cool. Dan, hopefully we can get him back on middle of 25 because I'm interested to see how this transition into Texas goes. And selfishly, I like hearing more and more success stories of uh, getting outside of your bubble, outside of your state, investing long distance. I think the more successes I hear will nudge me in that direction to,
Getting a little
Yeah.
more comfortable with it. Yeah.
yeah, yep.
Look,
But
at the end,
I don't know if I'm going to Zanzibar yet, but we can at least get to like the other Midwest
you
states.
know, what I tell people, like in Zanzibar, for example, I said, let's say people are open to invest in different countries, and they're like, and I'm like, okay, let's say it doesn't matter where you invest right now. Will you be happy with like 15% return annually? They will say, of course. I'm like, great. We're making 20 to 30% return. Now, every question they might say, like, okay, but it's a third world country. What if there is an answer for everything, right? And then it becomes to a point that when you start showing numbers, so as scared as you can be, there are legit numbers, so then the question is like, why is a person really scared to do the next step? And I think that's more important to really understand, like, why someone is, because it is scary, like, but I'm saying, like, to me, if I go to Europe, again, doesn't matter where in Europe, Portugal or Africa, it's not where I live. When I get 2 hours from where I am, like, okay, so why does it matter where? I'm not there,
Yeah,
it's someone else. So that's like how
true.
I see it. And then if I'm scared, like, okay, why am I scared? By the way, I just closed another deal there. I'm not as involved, but I closed the investor in Serengeti. Serengeti is in Tanzania, and it's the second safari in the world, like size wise. It's the
Oh,
second
really?
one in the world. And we have a land in the safari that we can build a hotel. It's going to be like a glamping hotel. And you cannot find now lot in Serengeti to build a, a structure that is not moving with the season. So you could find areas that, because the animals move seasonally, so you have to move with them. You cannot find more lots that you can build like to stay, because it's
Yeah,
stationary is like a different construction. So we have one. And again, people are, now this, now, but the question is like, look at the numbers. Like you have 4 seasons in Serengeti, for example, a night per person over $1,000 a night.
Wow.
And you can build it, like you can build a structure there for nothing, like it's cheap. So the question is like, why are you scared? And I think once you realize I have no answer to, if you have an answer, okay. But
Yeah.
once you keep replying to all the fears, then what's left? Like, okay, let's do it,
Yeah.
So that's how I look at it. And trust me, I'm not a gambler. I ask a lot of questions before I put my money in somewhere. But then when I really get an answer for everything, I'm like, okay, let's do it,
Yeah. No, definitely. I like the perspective of once it's over 2 hours, like it's long distance, even if it's in the state. Like you're still not getting there.
I'm not there.
I like the perspective. You're pushing me. You're giving me a little shove in the back to
Yeah.
get there.
Well, you guys can come to Florida, and see what we have.
We're gonna do that in like the middle of the frozen tundra of
Tampa,
winter here.
Clearwater area for sure. I
All
like
right.
that.
Well, let me know when you're in Florida.
We will. We will. Well, thanks for giving us the time. We are gonna link your website into the show notes.
Yeah, I'll give you my links too for my
Yes,
just like my
anywhere that someone
social.
can get a hold of you or find out more information, let us know because we'll put that in the show notes for you so people can reach out.
All right, guys, pleasure, and we'll be in touch for sure.
Great
We
meeting you.
will.
Good talking
Have
with
a
you.
good,
I had a lot
yeah,
of
have a
fun.
good weekend.
Thank you, guys. You too. Bye.
See ya.